Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VI. We are escaping the Magitech research facility in a minecart, and there are, I believe, 5 of those mag rotor encounters that we have to go through before we hit the boss. This episode's starting a couple encounters after the one we saw before, just to speed this up because they're all essentially the same. And then once we finish off the boss, who is quite a bit tougher than some of the others we've encountered so far, we'll be done. So this minecart bit, I'm sure it's technically a pretty advanced sequence for the hardware, but it is not one of the ones that has aged well visually. I think a lot of the other Mode 7 stuff still looks great, don't get me wrong, but this is harsh on the eyes. It does remind me that a little while ago, someone was taking a little bit of issue with me saying that this isn't the best pixel art game on the SNES. And I guess I'll elaborate on that opinion while we have a little bit more of the mind to go through. I think Final Fantasy VI still looks great. Again, don't get me wrong, but I think there are a couple of RPGs on the SNES with just a little bit better pixel art. Secret of Mana 1 and 2 are the kings of the hill, I think. Chrono Trigger, I think, still has better character sprites. And there's a really obscure game called Terra, which I think looks stunning. And I'll get back on that train of thought, that minecart of thought, in just a sec. This boss has 3 parts. It has a left and a right blade, which I'm not sure which one I'm targeting. Oh, I think that's... Oh yeah, that's one of the blades. Well, it doesn't hurt to kill the blades. It's not ideally what you want to focus on. Rising Phoenix works really well in this fight. Because you can do damage to the main body and still, after like 1 or 2 rounds of it, kill off the arms. Once both arms are dead, he tends to haste himself like that and attack way more frequently. But the arms on their own, they can do some decent damage. There's one thing that you want to make sure of. Oh, and he's dead. Apparently not that tough. There are a couple of things that you want to make sure of. If you have Phantom or some source of invisibility, that's really, really useful for this fight. They do have a move, I think that the arms do, that can reveal your invisibility. But as long... that's not even that bad. But if you kill off both arms while your party is invisible, he does a really nasty instant death attack. But we're still not done. We're still being chased through the streets. Our cover has been blown. We are no longer on a stealth mission to get through the facility. Now we're just escaping. That boss can pose a lot of problems if you're not prepared for him. Even though I did have a little bit more trouble with Ultros. But yeah, there was Secret of Mana 1 and 2, Terra, Chrono Trigger. Even stuff like Mega Man X2 or Super Turbo or R-Type 3. I think they all have insanely gorgeous pixel art. And then that's not even going into like the technical wizardry that Rare managed to pull off with the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, which are just flat out the best looking, some of the most technically impressive SNES games. Like, I still to this day can't believe that series existed on this system. It's nuts if you look back on it. They are real technical marvels. And on a related topic, good lord, Ninja Gaiden 2 doesn't get enough love for how good it looked for being an NES game. Holy shit, it's a jaw dropper. Everybody should go play Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 on the NES. Such good games. Okay, Setzer's come to meet up with us. He does not know what's happened to Celeste yet. But we're gonna fill him in on the way. We are still not done with his escape. It only gets better. Kefka is not gonna let us get away with all of this magicite that easily. Oh, yeah. This is pretty dope. It's not quite what you think it is, but also it kind of is. You'll see. No, all of Vector doesn't turn into a giant mech chasing the blackjack through the sky, but we have to gain some altitude and try to take off from the continent, and that's where the crane arms come in. He's trying to stop us like this is a claw machine. And naturally, we have to fight them. And Setzer is in the party for the first time. So the right crane arm is fire-based. We should not use fire spells against it. And the left arm is thunder-based. So we want to use the opposites. We want to use thunder on the right, fire on the left. And if we leave them alive long enough... I'm so bad at these. I can't believe I got that. If we leave them alive long enough, they will charge up a really big spell. I think it's Firaga and Thundaga. Chocobo Stampede. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get another one of those as Setzer. He has a couple of those real type abilities. I'm so bad at these. Holy shit, what kind of reverse curse is this? You just start saying the opposite all the time. It's that Spelunky curse. Except, it's working in my favor now. Yeah, I called the boss in the minecart section hard and then annihilated him. And said I'm bad at the reels. Holy shit. Yeah, this is the new strategy from now on. I just say everything's hard and I'm bad at everything. And then we ace it. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a spin. Pretty soon, we are going to get control of the airship. For now, it's going to autopilot, or Setzer pilot, over to Zozo. And it's really nice that they just bring us right here. It's just fade to black and dip back in, and we're back to Terra's bedside. So that we don't have to go through all of Zozo to get back here. Nice and convenient. So one of these Magicites, one of the unnamed ones, is having some kind of reaction to being in Terra's presence, and she calls it father. I was raised in the Esper's world. What a gigantic revelation about Terra. But why was she raised in the Esper world? This flashback, there's something about the scenery and the color palette here that reminds me so much of one of the later parts of Chrono Trigger. And who is this that we're in control of? We're gonna find out momentarily, but it appears to be one of the Espers. Something's coming through the gate. It is... Oh, we're playing as a character named Madwin. And we're gonna take whatever came through the gate into the Esper world back home and care for it. It's our little pet human. Little pet human. She's pretty weak, better let her rest for a moment. And all the Espers just gathered around. Oh, it's cool. So how did a human get in here? We should kill her right away. Humans and Espers cannot coexist. Yeah, remember, they did kind of sequester themselves away in their own realm because of the whole War of the Magi thing and humans going power-hungry and trying to harness the power of the Espers. So it's a reasonable position to take that humans are just bad news. And this appears to be some kind of love at first sight. Madwin has a noticeable affection for the humans. Okay, so Madwin and Madeline. I distinctly remember getting their names confused the first time I played this and thinking that there was just some kind of translation problem and that Madeline's name was actually Madwin and that they were just switching between them willy-nilly. I was very young the first time I played this. But it's been a little bit. We let her rest up. And the human's gone. We gotta find the human. Got Lone Wolf down there. Easy to understand why he's so distrusting of this whole situation. And this section's very, very linear. There's never really much opportunity to get lost. You always generally know where you're going. They kind of railroad you. How do we know for sure unless we find out for ourselves? And now, boys and girls, for the very lewd act of Esper-human lovemaking. This is how it happens. This is how babies are born. Oh god, I love it. I love this very abstract depiction of sex. And from their union comes Terra. So that makes Terra half human, half Esper, which explains why she reacted to the frozen Esper the way she did, and the thing that she kind of turned into. It's essentially her Esper form. And being half human, half Esper, it makes her kind of similar to everybody's favorite Final Fantasy IV character, Cecil, the half Lunarian. And so if you didn't catch it, 2 years have passed. And look at that. The rift is opened up again, allowing the humans to get into the Esper world. And it's Emperor Gestalt. Is this the first time we've actually seen his sprite? I think it is. This is the first really, really big role that he's had in, that he's actively participated in. He's not leaving it to Kefka, he's not leaving it to Leo, he shows up himself. So, the Elder is going to cause a big tempest that will blow everyone away out of the Esper world, and then they're going to commence with sealing it off completely. So we know from before some of the exposition we got a while back that the Esper world is completely locked off. So we know that at least part of this succeeds. We know that Terra somehow makes it out of here before the Esper world is locked off forever. And now we've also seen how some of the Espers wound up on the other side of the barrier before it got blocked off. How they wound up in the Magitech research facility. Oh, Wolf. You're such a justified dick. Aw, and he hurt her feelings. This character we barely know, but still kind of empathize with. Where are you going? It's too late, I've already begun casting the barrier, there's no turning back. Yeah, we have just enough time, and look where we're back to. As the mighty tempest of the Elder blows away all of the Magitech warriors, or rather the Imperial warriors who've come through the gate, and Gestalt, even though he tries to resist, he gets blown away as well. But, unfortunately, Madeline also ran off up here. And blink and you miss it, Terra got blown away as well. Oh, that poor baby. And they follow shortly after. We recognize this screen because of the creepy face in the lake. This looks very familiar, doesn't it? Specifically like the Phantom Forest. Also, Emperor Gestalt looks a lot like, fuck, what is his name? Dr. Gero? The android doctor from, Dragon Ball Z? Especially if you see his portrait. His portrait especially looks like that. This explains how Terra wound up being controlled by the Empire that we see in the very beginning of the game. So that flashback fills in quite a lot of gaps and gives us a big revelation about Terra. And this Magicite is apparently Madwyn, her father, or the magical essence of him. So this is very, very good. This song that you're hearing, by the way, pay careful attention to it. There's something that I want you to hear. This song is called Awakening, and there's something familiar about it. I think we have heard it before, but that's not what I'm referring to. The melody of that song is also in the very first song that you hear in the game, Terra's theme. They share that melody. That is one of a slew of examples, but one of the most prominent, I think, of this game using a musical technique called leitmotif, which is kind of like a musical callback. It's when multiple pieces share elements with one another that connect them to a certain character or event. It's like a recurring motif in the music that connects multiple scenes. It's right there in the word, leitmotif, recurring motif. So before we actually take control of the blackjack, we're going to come down here, below deck, and we're going to rearrange the party a little bit because I think it starts us off with Setzer in it by default. Nothing against Setzer, but right now, I want Edgar, I want Locke, I want Sabin, pretty much our party from last time. And now that we've recovered Terra, let's bring her with us as well. We're gonna vary the party up a little bit in the future, but for now, this is looking pretty good. This is a really handy feature. Unequip everybody who is not currently in your party. So free up those relics, free up whatever weapons cross over with one another, those espers. Yeah. Madwyn seems appropriate to put on Terra. Plus, teaches a lot of second level magic spells. And we'll get the 2 earrings that were on Celeste onto her in a second. Pretty sure they should have unequipped. Yep, I think Shadow is the only one who retains equipment that you leave on him after he leaves the party. Because you can get him back. Oh yeah, and on the topic of the music, as we were talking about leitmotif, Uematsu is a pioneer of that particular technique in game music. Games really weren't doing that all that much before Final Fantasy. It became a thing that was a lot more common as you got into like the PS1 and PS2 era. Especially in Japanese games. It was, again, a thing that was pioneered a lot by Final Fantasy, and then JRPGs soon after that, and then all sorts of other genres following that. And we almost didn't get some of Uematsu's masterful soundtracks. Almost missed out on a lot of this, because he wanted to be a Hollywood composer ever since he was a little kid, but he couldn't find jobs composing in Hollywood, so he figured game music was the next best thing. And that wound up working out pretty well. And then by the time you get around to Final Fantasy VI, this is actually his favorite soundtrack. It was his favorite soundtrack to compose for. So we're back to Narshe, we're back to Arvis and Bannon and the rest of the returners to figure out what is the next step now that we've recovered all those espers from Vector. We're going to open up the barrier to the Magitech world, to the Esper world. Seems like there's ample opportunity for this to go wrong. And Terra's understandably reluctant to go along with this. She being half Esper, though, is the only one they can count on to even try to do this. Half human, half Esper. My mere existence is proof that such a bond can exist. So she's thought it through and decided that she's gonna help. She's gonna help them open that up. So they're gonna try to reestablish the trust between humans and the Espers back when they did kind of cohabitate. And Terra is gonna do her best to facilitate that. Now, before we get on with any of that, God, I hate all these people. I hate the way they move around. They're constantly getting in my way. Just want to fucking freeze them. Before we get on with any of that, we want to come down in here, this shop with all of the chests in it, except the one that was locked. Oh, look at that! I'm Lone Wolf the Pickpocket. I wanted that treasure. You can actually see Lone Wolf the Pickpocket. Oh, and now that chest is empty. You can actually see Lone Wolf down in the dungeons of Figaro Castle leading up to this point. I didn't point him out for this reason. Because I knew we would be getting to this point pretty soon. But yeah, he's just there in the background chilling out. Oh, and there's someone else if you look in the upper right. Well, you can see him for a second. You'll see him around in the caves. Again, not gonna tell you who that is. And these are all the same enemies that we fought before, so nothing special. They're just as weak as they were before. They don't scale. Actually, always love that about Final Fantasy VIII. I know I said that a lot through the Final Fantasy VIII LP, but I love the scaling enemies. I love how you can't just trivialize the game by doing side quests or grinding or whatever. It's actually easier to beat Final Fantasy VIII at low level than it is high level because of the way that scaling works. But I do love scaling in RPGs. I don't like to be able to just overpower shit by being too high a level. Especially in games where I actually like the side quests. Okay, so we want to... Oh? Okay, I thought this was... Shit. Okay, I don't know how that trigger works, apparently. I thought that was triggered by switching the party leader to Terra. But no. So, if you go over and you interact with Lone Wolf, you'll get the treasure. I think it said it was the gold earring or something like that. But Mog will fall off the cliff and you won't be able to recruit him. So don't do that. He's a street smart slam dancing Moogle. He's also really, really good as a party member. Don't let Mog fall off the cliff just to get a shitty relic. What I believe that relic does is it cuts the cost of casting in half, which is not really that big a deal. It's honestly not. So Mog is gonna go wait in the airship for us. Hey, we got Mog. And that is gonna do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.